Hey guys, welcome back. Luca here. And today I want to talk a little bit about why coding is hard. So I can remember vividly my computer science journey. I actually started college studying chemical engineer and later switched into electrical engineer, where I was able to take my first programming classes. And it was a class on C programming. And I remember during the class, I was like, what is going on? Like, what are these memory allocation, like pointers, how to do all these projects? And they make it really challenging because like in school, they compress all these knowledge and a lot of the people already taken Java or like computer science courses in high school. But I was fresh into the computer science world, so I had no idea how to do any of this. So I barely passed the class and then I was like, okay, I'm never doing that again. But a part of me is also like, oh, I wonder how to actually make these works. So over the summer, I actually read up a bunch of other like C techniques, pointers, watched a bunch of videos online, and I just kind of had a moment. I had a eureka, and I was like, oh, this kind of makes more sense now. And as I'm watching and learning from other people, I realized, okay, this is going to be very important, like knowing how to speak the language of a computer. I can't miss out on this. And I decided to just, challenge myself and switch into computer science. So I would say like my journey into computer science was actually a very rough start. But because I was studying electrical engineering and the course wasn't really a computer science course, it didn't affect my overall computer science major GPA. And that was kind of like the thing I needed, a fresh start. So I was lucky to have that. And after taking more classes, I got my first internship. And during the internship, I was like, once again, going insane. I'm like, what is going on? Like, oh, back in the day, like I think 2016, we started using React. People are like, oh, React is going to be really, really hard. Like the learning curve is steep. I'm like, all right, I accept it. It's steep learning curve. I'm not gonna be productive then. So like I was spending time watching courses online, learning how to do this React framework, and it's just really challenging. And especially with this newer language at the time, the support was very minimum. React wasn't as big as today. Like online now you have a lot more resources, but back then it was very limited. So if I'm doing something like very specific, for example, I'm trying to read GeoJSON data about like a map, back then there weren't anything on that, so I had to figure out a lot of stuff using like JavaScript, and yeah, I didn't really figure it out. So yeah, that was pretty much my first internship, a lot of learning, and just like, yeah, I was like, okay, I guess this is really challenging. I guess the best way for me to take advantage of the situation is to just learn as much as possible, and that's exactly what I did. So it's definitely very grateful the fact that I was able to get that first internship and I was able to learn as much as possible. I did deliver a few features, but nowhere near what I was supposed to, I guess. Like they expected you to just like, take on tasks and implement it end to end, but yeah, I wasn't at that level. So yeah, moving forward, I started taking more higher level programming classes which touch algorithms. So once again, I want to emphasize, if you are already still in school, taking algorithm or like advanced data structure classes can only benefit you, because these are the courses that they actually ask you on an interview. So if you're someone who don't really want to grind LeetCode or like, do additional problem, then taking these courses already kind of force you into studying for these concepts and reinforce your knowledge. And I think this is something very beneficial. And don't worry if you're not in college, there's other ways to do it. So for example, like the Green Book is a great resources, Cracking the Code interview. That's pretty much the one book that I use throughout my interviewing experiences. At the time, I didn't really know a lot about LeetCode, and I didn't really feel like solving those problems. So I was mostly sticking with the Green Book and just like reading algorithm slides, lectures, watching like Stanford courses. I can link some below as well. And now I want to touch on another thing. Like a lot of people say like, okay, it's so easy to get into software engineer. Like take a boot camp or like, any major can eventually become a computer scientist or software engineer if you want to. And I completely agree. Like it's very straightforward on how to get into it, but it's actually really hard to become really, really good. Just because you're taking a bootcamp, you build something, but it doesn't mean like you can replicate that at your new job. And that's the challenge that a lot of people don't see, because a lot of time you become very framework database dependent, that you become so reliant on people holding your hand in doing these projects. And I'm a victim of that. Like, that's exactly what happened to me. Doing college, like all the course projects, they provided us kind of like a skeleton already. I kind of know where to put, where I need to write code. I just need to pass the unit test. But when I first joined my first company on the first project, it's affecting the end user, like I had no idea where to start. Like, I was like, what's the point of taking all these computer science classes if it didn't really help me in the job? I guess school is more so about learn how to learn. So during my time at my first company, like when I was working, like I spent a long time learning from like the tech lead, like watching them how to do things and just trying to absorb as much as possible. Just because one thing you had to realize and come to acceptance is this is hard. It's okay to like know when to ask for help and learn from other people. Like, that's part of the learning process. And another thing that makes it really challenging, like as you work for these companies, like companies a lot of times expects you to take on bigger, more challenging tasks, especially at a big tech company. The learning, the task never stop, projects after projects. And as you grow into that senior role, they expect you to take on even more challenging problem that you might never done before. And you also have to start mentoring other people. That's why like the whole learning process is very challenging and hard. A lot of times when you become tenure on your team, I also had to help onboard members. And I was kind of in a state where I'm getting better at this, and help onboarding people is actually one of the best way to pick up these skills. I think there's a research out there that mentioned like teaching other people, or like try to teach the information to other people, help you absorb that concept a lot. So I would say all these together help me learn so much more about software engineering that I did not imagine this is what I had to go through in college. So now knowing what I know now, like I just want to say like, yeah, coding is hard. And just to give you an example, one of the hardest thing in computer science is to actually name your variable, name your function. I think naming is one of the most important thing, and a lot of people don't realize it, because if you want to name something, you have to think about the use cases and how to represent it, because you don't want to write too much comments, because like it makes your code like extremely long and no one's gonna spend the time reading everything. But if you have a descriptive variable, descriptive function that can help you or help other people understand what it means, that's like amazing. That's why like naming takes a long time. I remember when I'm trying to name a variable, name a function, I spend like a long time thinking about it. And when I do it, and before I submit it for review, I look at it again, trying to see if there's a better name I can use, how I can improve it. And a lot of times if I don't feel good about naming, I try to leave a comment and ask my teammates like, hey, any suggestions here? So yeah, like as you can see, even the most basic things require a lot of time, which makes coding really hard. So if you're someone who's thinking about starting the journey, don't worry, like everyone go through all these learning curves, and coding is hard. Just be open-minded and willing to learn, and I think that will lead you to success. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. I will see you guys next time.